Hello everyone, my name is Gabby and welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super review. This time reviewing episode 116. Using Ultra Instinct, Goku manages to effortlessly dodge all of Kefla's attacks, even as she uses Super Saiyan 2. But when he moves to attack, it's not enough to defeat her. He's still thinking as he attacks, and as a result he can't use the form to its full efficiency. And to top it all off, he's running out of stamina fast. So as Kefla unleashes all of her power, he charges up a Kamehameha while avoiding all of her blasts, and at the end uses it to grind over her final attack and hit her at point blank range, defeating her, eliminating her, and defusing her. Goku has won, but is exhausted again and realizes he has much more left to learn. So, what did I like about this episode? Well, first of all, Ultra Instinct came back in this episode, and while I think there's a lot of things that were really interesting about it I want to talk about, one other thing that I think was really important, one thing that I think was almost kind of the point of Ultra Instinct coming back here in the first place, was that Vegeta, upon seeing it, kind of had that sort of sudden realization that what it actually is was the stuff that Whis was telling them about back in the Resurrection F arc. And I think that was a really important thing to explain to the audience, because even though a lot of fans had kind of picked up on what it was, I don't think that like casual fans would necessarily kind of remember, or was literally just like kind of one throwaway line during the Resurrection F arc during a random training sequence, like that thing was going to be important and that's what this form is. Because I mean, the fact is, in the special, they never really gave us an actual explanation over what exactly Goku was doing. Here they actually gave us that explanation, and I think it was a good time for the explanation, because it didn't mean that we had to like kind of stop the story the moment Goku got the form. Like, he already got the form, we saw what the form could do and everything, and only now are we kind of like explaining to everybody who didn't get it what exactly it is. I also liked that this episode really kind of clarified that, at the very least right now, Ultra Instinct is not like some kind of instant win button. Like, it still kind of has weaknesses and Goku still hasn't mastered it yet. In particular, the idea that when Goku goes to basically move to attack, he's still kind of thinking about how to attack, and because he is kind of thinking and not leaving everything up to instinct, it means he's not really using the form as efficiently, so his attacks aren't actually more powerful. And then there's also the fact that this form seems to be incredibly draining and he can't really hold it for long. But I think the most interesting thing about all that stuff is that Goku basically instantly figures out a way to kind of try and get around those weaknesses. When he realizes he can't make his attacks as powerful when he's thinking about them, he instead just tries to charge up a Kamehameha, which he doesn't have to think about as much, and then using Ultra Instinct to basically just dodge all of his attacks, and also kind of being like, because that attack will be so powerful, basically just means he can finish it all off in one blast. But the spectators are also explaining that that solution might only kind of work once. Like, it feels like Goku has a long way to go here. It doesn't feel like it's just gonna like instantly win everything the moment he managed to get the form again, because he hasn't mastered it yet, and that just makes it feel kind of way more realistic and just way more interesting to watch. Like, you know, Goku's actually adapting to it. It's not just like he's instantly learned it. The very idea of having to learn to not think about attacking when you're going to attack actually sounds kind of difficult and not something that you necessarily be able to figure out on the first try, even if you might be able to figure it out at some point within the next 17 minutes. Also, can we just talk about that final attack? I mean, I was explaining how story-wise it was actually a really interesting sort of way of implementing Ultra Instinct's weaknesses and basically trying to overcome them, but then there's also the fact, you know, the animation was really great, and then at the very end when like Goku's really close, so Kefla just like launches a massive attack mid-air and thinks that he can't dodge, so then like he uses the Kamehameha to like grind up her attack and then like hit her at point blank range when she's not prepared. Like, that is quite possibly one of the coolest ideas for a final attack that I have seen in this franchise for a very long time. It was creative, it was storyboarded well, the music fit, and it was just really, really cool. As for what I didn't like about this episode, well, Ultimate Battle is now officially overused. It was used once again in this episode, and also, once again, it wasn't exactly the same version of Ultimate Battle that appeared in episode 110, or even the one that appeared last episode, because this time it used even more vocals, and in fact it made me realize that the version that was used in 110 basically took out a lot of the vocals, basically only put the vocals in for kind of the most important parts, and took it out during the middle, which is kind of interesting, but but once again, it's kind of still the fault of last episode. I don't think they should have played it last episode, especially because they played it before Goku was even in Ultra Instinct, and they played it in a part that wasn't like animated fantastically like this episode was. If this isn't an insert song and rather it's just like the theme of Ultra Instinct, then okay, maybe I could buy it constantly coming back, but if that's the case, I mean, well, first of all, it still does make the song less special, and second of all, like I said, it was played last episode where there wasn't Ultra Instinct, so it does just make this kind of feel like, oh, it's coming back again, oh, you know, this song is not special anymore, and it's just kind of disappointing. I think the main reason as to why I'm not really that happy with the insert song coming back all the time, and like, all these really cool things happening, is it's just sort of like, I don't know how they could actually top this. I mean, like, the assumption is, like, you know, the final fight, or at least the most climactic fight of this Tournament of Power is going to look even better than, like, not only, like, this episode, but presumably even, like, the special, even, like, episode 110, because it's like, this episode, in some cases, I think looked almost as cool as episode 110, so you'd assume that Goku's random fight against the strongest guys in Universe 6, and the first time that Goku fought against Jiren and found out about this new form he hasn't even mastered yet, I assume that those things are kind of almost just like warm-up battles, and the real battle that everybody is hyped up for is going to happen even later, and I'm just like, I don't even know how they could top this, because these last episodes have looked so cool. If the climax looks even cooler than this, I don't even know how everyone is going to manage. I don't even know if this is like a positive or a negative. It's like, I'm kind of wanting them to almost like have these episodes not be as cool so they don't necessarily have to try as hard for the finale, but I want these episodes to look as good as possible. So I'm kind of conflicted here. Maybe this isn't really something I didn't like, but it's something that's making me conflicted and also very, very curious to just kind of see what is going to be the greatest, most amazing part of this tournament and how they are going to do that. So as for next episode, well, now that Goku is basically out of commission again, he's now getting targeted by Universe 2, but it also seems like the androids are going to show up and they're going to fight Universe 2. In particular, Ribrianne and the magical girl stuff, it seems like that's coming back. And this is an episode I'm honestly going to be quite interested in, because it seems to have a lot of Ribrianne in it, and I think that this episode, out of everything, it seems like is probably going to finally kind of confirm whether Ribrianne is actually just like a joke fighter who kind of overstayed her welcome, or an actual legitimate fighter who, even if she does have comedic elements to her, she still needs to be kind of taken seriously. Because honestly, I think the reason as to why people are so conflicted over Ribrianne is because nobody seems to really know which thing she's supposed to be. I mean, me personally, I don't really want Ribrianne to be nothing more than a joke fighter, because she has been in fights against characters who are at least somewhat competent and seem to be holding her own. But like, I mean, I don't necessarily know what is actually the case, and hopefully whatever happens, it'll be good, and hopefully it's not just like a really bad joke. So that was Dragon Ball Super episode 116. Oh yeah, that was great. Jeez. That episode just looked great. It was like the final spectacle, really befitting the final thing that Universe 6 are going to do, the final trump card. I mean, technically no, Universe 6 isn't eliminated yet, we still have the Namekians, but it did seem like just everything, judging by Champa's reaction and everybody else's reaction, that Kefla was their final trump card. And I know that people have been asking me over whether it's been kind of unfair that Caulifla and Kale have had so many episodes to themselves, but I have to say, I feel like this is incredibly appropriate. I mean, even if they are new characters, they're from Universe 6, the one universe that we do actually know, and the one universe that is kind of like most like Universe 7. They're female Saiyans, they're female Super Saiyans. They've basically had the closest that anyone in this Tournament of Power has had to some kind of unique character arc and character development, and they do have legitimate reasons as to why they're so strong. They had been promoted very heavily since the very beginning, and the general assumption is because of that when they were going to fight, it was going to be something really big and climactic and something that looked cool and something they put a lot of time and effort into. And that is exactly what happened in this episode. And not only that, but in this episode they brought back Ultra Instinct and also made it look almost as cool as it did in 110. I mean, not exactly as cool. I mean, Goku was speaking and he seemed a lot more conscious in this episode, which kind of made it seem a little bit different from 110. But at the very least, it still kind of feels like a form that I really, really want to see again, just simply because of the way that they kind of animate it. So basically, for what this series seems to be wanting to do with Ultra Instinct and also with Caulifla and Kale, I'd say this episode was a pretty great success. But with that, we're kind of running out of a lot of fighters that we've been kind of foreshadowed for and have been kind of built up as really big threats. I mean, we have Ribrianne, who's going to be next episode. We also have, like, maybe the robots, but they haven't been built up very much. Or the mysterious fighters in Universe 4, and maybe the Namekians. But other than that, it's really all that's really left is kind of just Universe 11. If the Universe Survival arc is really going to last until March, I'm not really sure how they're going to do that. Maybe the final fights are just going to last for, like, multiple episodes like they did with Cauliflower and Kale. And while I have to admit that some of the episodes in the Cauliflower and Kale fight were clearly stronger and weaker than others, if the remaining climactic fights have as much effort put into them as some of the stuff in the Cauliflower and Kale fight, this tournament is going to be really, really fun. So this is Gabby signing out, and I'll see you all next week. Bye guys!